はい。はい。
お願いします。
お願いします。はい。Down. はい、side to side. はい、hip to shoulder. Circles one way. Circles the other way. So, arms. And back. Hey. Hey. Cross. Other side. Open and close. Hey. Right side. Hey, hand right. Yo. Benji. Yoko. That's down, breathing in, breathing out. Cute. Go. Thank you. Go. He's up. Forward. Down. Yourself. Hey, your knees on the back. Circles one way. Hey, circle the other way. Down. Down. Your toes. So. Hey, key. Go. Up. Down. Key. Go. Up. Down. Thank you. Go. Feel your hips. And your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, the other side. Your legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Reverse leg side to side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So hinging. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's do one motion that I've been talking about during the week, which is the important motion of being able to hinge and being able to pass. Being able to hinge and then being able to pass. Okay, so whenever we're receiving kote gaeshi, for example, or riminage, we go hand out. We hinge our hips because my partner takes me down, for example. And then I need to remember to continue my motion, okay, to be able to be in a good position for ukemi or be in a better position for kaeshi one, okay? So let's just practice that motion, okay? We hinge, and then we pass. We hinge, we pass. We hinge, we pass. Let's do the other side. We hinge, pass. Hinging, passing the leg. Hinging, passing the leg. Again, you hinge, pass the leg. Hinge, pass the leg. Hinge, pass the leg. Good. Hinge, passing. Hinge, passing. Hinge, passing. Okay. So sometimes with things like kote gaeshi, for example, okay. So if I show Menuchi and then he steps behind me and goes cuts for kote gaeshi, my arm, I make to hinge and then I pass and then I continue, right? So the important thing is that I enter, she cuts me, I allow the cut, then I continue my pass, and I move. Very important that I have the mobility on my hip, to allow for the kusushi, or my partner produces the kusushi, okay, but also that I'm able to continue. I'm supposed to do one, and then not knowing what to do with this leg. This leg suddenly gets stuck. I don't know. No. I'm moving from hand me into hand, okay, and so on. Okay, so now when we do iriminage, sometimes for iriminage is the kusushi is a little bit gentle, here iriminage same thing, down and pass, okay, or down and pass. But sometimes the iriminage is a little bit deeper, okay, especially for so that the kusushi for iriminage is a little bit deeper, or even for kote gaeshi, but we come down and we not only hinge, but we are taken all the way down to the ground. So okay, let's just do this part here. Okay, so we hinge, my partner completely breaks my balance, and I am taken down to the ground. So first of all, be careful with your knee, the knee that is coming down, that knee doesn't hit the ground hard and fast, or whether you're going to have an injury in the patella. Down and control. Okay, so now from that position, now let's just check the lateral mobility of your hip. Okay, you may not be able to pass it straight, you may have to sweep the leg sideways. So let's check the natural, the sideways mobility of your hips, okay? And then standing up and up again, okay? So down, control your way down, protect your patella, okay? And then check the sideways mobility of your hip. 3, 4, and 5, and pass. And coming up. Okay, so one more time. Down. Protect the patella. Sideways. 1, 2, 3, 4, and pass. And there we go. Okay, one more time. Down. Protecting the patella. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so the sideways mobility of your hip. Okay, just checking that your hip can. How is the sideways mobility of your hip? Because in this case, your leg is not going to necessarily pass. If there is no space on the ground, may not just pass straight. May have to move outside. That's why doing outside crescents or inside crescents when we practice them are important, because they kind of keep an eye on my hip mobility sideways, not only frontal. Here's my knee. Okay, so one more time. Down, hinge, protect the patella, check the side, hip mobility of your hip. 3, 4, 5, pass. There we go. One more time. Down, go to patella. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So when you come with your pana, and your pana goes to Yuminage, you take your hip deeper, take your patella. 1, 2, 3, and up, and then you're ready for receiving. Okay, so same thing. Enter, you find it down, protect your patella, and taking your leg, 2, moving up, and ready to receive, or in a better position for Shimas. Okay, a couple more times, please, just to have that habit of protecting the patella. The patella doesn't hit the ground hard, so otherwise it's going to get damaged. But also being able to hinge from your hips and pass that leg. In this case, passing the leg on this lateral motion of your hip. Okay, so down, go, rotate the patella. 1, 2, 3, 4, pass. Okay, down, rotate the patella. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down, patella. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. One time. Down, patella. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One little thing when you get up. Okay, so remember, we cannot be. This can be also a problem with our handmi, right? Your handmi cannot be too narrow that makes you kind of almost like it cannot be too narrow that it's almost like if you were kind of walking on a thigh on a rope. Okay, cannot be so narrow that it's like that. It is not as big and as wide as the position of other martial arts, for example, karate or something strikes, right? So it's not as wide as the position of other martial arts, but it is definitely not as narrow that it compromises our natural stability too much. So just need to find a compromise between those two things, making sure when you walk in handmi, you are not so narrow, that it kind of makes it wobbly sideways. Okay. Normally, you know that it is too narrow if your heel, back heel, for example, sometimes the recommendation is heel to heel, and going backwards. That's as narrow as you should get. You should never really get middle of the foot going backwards, because that starts to make it too narrow for your own structure, for your own hips. So so a little bit out. So when you do, for example, this, and you come down, right? Yeah, and you exit your foot. If you overshoot your foot too much in front of you, like not here, let's say, on this side of my hip, let's say in the middle, or even if you hip it too much, then when you get up, it's going to naturally be wobbly, okay? So careful that when you shoot this foot, okay, you shoot it in a way that it respects the width of your hip, okay? If you do not respect that width and you cross that width, okay, the more you cross it, of course, the more difficult the getting up is going to be, okay? So, you know, in the same way that, you know, it's not like a model walk, okay? You cannot walk crossing your hip. It's like you walk straight more or less with your hips, respecting the width of your hips in order to maintain the stability of your walk, okay? So not crossing the width of your hip. So let's do it a couple more times, okay? So when you come down, take your patella and check this health of your side hip, okay? When you shoot, okay, your foot should be not in front of you. You should respect the width of your hip, so from that way, you have a little bit of a better chance of a more stable get up. Okay, one more time. If this foot shoots too much in front of your body, okay, the more in front of the body is, the more unstable your getting up is going to be. You are narrowing the hip. Okay, so on the other side, down, protect. 1, 2, 3, 4, shoot. Now respecting the width of your hips, okay, and coming up, okay. So, so that is that action of hinging and passing, hinging and passing, hinging and passing, an important action to kind of have, you know, embedded in your body, you know, to be able to do some ukemis, okay. So coming down. So opening to one side, you want to take time to pivot and pull. So again, and the other side, pivot, pull. So, you know, grabbing your toes, raise your head, hips up. And let's go into your spine, into your shoulders, up to your head, and relax your hips. Reach to the side. Go. Your legs side to side. And go a bit lower on one side. A bit lower on the other side. Toes up on one side. Toes up on the other side. In case that you haven't done it, and if you can do it, keep your hands in front this time and lower yourself. Up, and the other side, hands in front, lower yourself. So, side, side. Good. Open your legs, elbows down, and coming forward. So, back stretch. Forward again. Hips up. Hips down. Hips up. Hips down. Hips up. Hips down. And back stretch. All right, so sometimes we jump into a few hip exercises that maybe are a little bit too demanding, depending on a person's physical condition. So if you are, recovering from some hip injury, or or just kind of paying attention to your hip that doesn't feel really well, maybe let's start with a few more gentle hip exercises before going into the more demanding ground locomotion exercises that sometimes we have. So okay, so the first one is just being on your knees and on your hands, and then with your leg, your knee, just make a circle outward, outside circles to check the health of that hip on that side. Outside circles, okay, and then inside circles. Inside circles. Again, every exercise can be taken even a little bit lower. Even if that feels too much, you may not be able to do circles. You just be able to do lines: forward, backwards, and sideways, for example. Okay. And then in that range, just check forward, backwards, and sideways. Just to explore how your hip is on one side. With very simple form of lines. If the lines are okay, then maybe you are able to do forward, backwards, diagonal on one side, diagonal on the other side, and sideways. Okay, and you start to explore the diagonals of that line. If that is okay, then maybe you're able to explore a full circle in that line. Okay, so but just once again, just check, what's the condition of those hips. Okay, the other side, making circles or lines, again, depending on what the condition of your hip is. If you're making circles, making outside circles, and inside circles. And rest. So, continuing checking on your hip, coming forward on your knee, okay, and moving forward. Stretch, supporting your leg a lot, okay, going back a little bit into your hamstring, and the important one is this one, opening up and moving forward, okay. If you can, then shooting backwards, a little bit as a pigeon pose position, as much as you can, okay, and stretching backwards. Hey, coming up, the other side, shooting a leg forward, moving forward, moving backwards, down, opening up, 45, and shooting back. So, do it again, okay. So remember, you can use your hands and support your knee as much as possible, okay. Eventually you let go your hands and you start using your arms just to forward, okay, to push backwards. You can sit, and to open up, hands in the middle of your body, and opening up until your hands touch the ground. So, and back. To the side, forward, pull, pushing back, sit, opening up, sink, and shifting back. Remember, the condition of your hips sometimes is related also to the condition of your lower back. So lying down, basic exercises for lower back. Okay, so just very gentle, feet together, knees on side to side. Okay, checking what's the situation of your lower back this morning. Okay, extending one leg, bending the other leg, and give it a hug. Relax, the other side, bending, hugging, your hug. And go the legs forward, now both legs back towards you. Now put both legs down, crossing your leg, okay? And now through the hole and on the outside of the leg, holding. And down, change sides, leg down, the other one crossing through the middle of the legs and the outside of the legs, holding. And relax, go down. This time holding your toes, raising your legs. Try to take a few deep breaths and you're expanding your lower abdomen. And legs down. Okay, side to side again. So side to side. Good. And bring your heels towards you. Engage your core muscles. Raise your hips and hand above your head. And down. Engage core muscles. Raise your hips and hand above the head. Down. Again, engage core muscles. Raise hips, hand above the head. Down. One more time. Engage core muscles. Raise hips, hand above the head. And relax. Turning around. Raising down. Opening your arms. Okay. We're bending one leg and turning one direction. Down. Up. The other side. Turning the other direction. Again, one side, turning one direction. Go down, again the other side, turning the other direction. And down. One more time, back stretch. So, coming up to your hands and your knees, and just making big circles with your hips. With your belly button, like going around a big circle on the floor. Exploring the whole range of your hip mobility all the way back, all the way around, all the way back, all the way around, all the way back, all the way around, and so on. Okay, so one more time, a couple more exercises of that form, and then we go into some ground locomotion. Okay, so another basic exercise to check a little bit of the hip of our hips is in our basic shin box. Hands, first of all, hands on the floor, opening your legs in a width that is acceptable for the length of your legs. So coming up one side and coming up the other side. Chest out, remember, down, chest out. Even if you're using a lot of support on the with your hands, chest out, one side, chest out, the other side. Use a lot of support, making sure that you can have external and internal rotation of the knees and of the hips. An external rotation on one leg and internal rotation on the other leg. Okay. Now this time, Ushiro Ukemi, and into that shin box position. Ushiro Ukemi, into shin box position. Ushiro Ukemi, shin box. Ushiro Ukemi. Shin box. Shin box. Ukemi. Shin box. Ukemi. Shin box. This time, Ukemi, shin box, and extension. Down, Ukemi, shin box, and extension. Extension, Ukemi, shin box, and extension. Ukemi, shin box, extension. Ukemi, shin box, extension. So and relax. Okay, so let's say up until there is a few hip motion exercises that are not too demanding and that just kind of help you explore the general health of your hip, and where are the constraints, where are the restrictions, etc. So please do as much as those ones as necessary and as often as necessary. Sometimes the condition of the hips are such that there is not really a lot of motion that is like. Obviously, you have to go and check your doctor and see which things you have to do. But gentle motions of the hip like that can help us to know which motions and which directions our hip particularly struggles with in terms of motion, and hopefully, maybe give a little bit of awareness of how much that hip can move around itself. Okay, now we're going to do a few exercises that are a little bit more demanding on the hip. So it's our locomotion exercises. So starting with your gorilla walk, you kind of sit on. Okay, remember with your gorilla walks, putting your fists together, go finger by finger by finger by finger. Your knees almost touching the ground, but not quite, and then moving forward. Down, almost touching the ground, jumping to the level of your fist. Down, almost touching the ground, jumping to the level of your feet. Down, touching the ground. You can get up, and if you feel that your hips are tight, you can just do circles to one side, circles to the other side, and come to the other side. Okay. Downwards, okay, into gorilla position, coming forward, in, down, in, down, in, down. Okay, coming up, and relax your hips. Then, inside, and the other side. Okay, one more time. Down, position, going forward, in, down, down, down. Okay. That's it. So, and one more time, and down, and hands, down, hands, down, hands, down, hands, down. Okay. So, ideally, we just need to pay attention to this in our gorilla walks. Some of us may have too much of an angle between our leg, okay, and the alignment of our knee, okay. We have to try to more or less fix that angle, okay, because things out too much on an angle, can be a little bit of a problem. So just sit on your squat and make sure that your knees are going mostly in the direction of your toes. There is not too much of an angle between your knees and your toes. So just sitting in that squat and just making sure that your knees and your toes are going mostly in that direction. If you are able to kind of come to a squat about that, then most judo type positions will be okay for you to practice. Okay, so that's one exercise that definitely demands a lot of hip mobility. So next one is our Joko Okuriashi. Joko Okuriashi. Now that we are with our lateral hip motion, so lower your hip into your leg position, and Yoko Kuriashi. Yoko Kuriashi. Yoko Kuriashi. To the side, Yoko Kuriashi. Now remember with Yoko Kuriashi, okay, putting one hand in front of you, making sure that that hand is always in front, and then moving that hand with you. Okay, moving that hand with you in front of the center of the body. The other side. Ideally, the hand that is opposite to the direction you want to go. So let's say you are going to go to the right side, okay? Your left hand in front of you, and making sure that your left hand doesn't lag and stays in front of you. Remember that this is going to be the classic Ikkyo, Ura, where we control, and then we Kuriashi, right? So this is the classic exercise where we come down, and I'm going to do Kuriashi, but if I'm not careful, I'm going to move that side. The hand, the left hand, which is controlling my partner's elbow, will lag if I'm not careful, and then I have to pull my partner. So what I'm trying to do is educate my left hand that despite my displacement towards this side, this left hand is going to stay in front of the body all the time, as opposed to lagging with my partner. Of course, with a partner it's more difficult because we feel the resistance of the partner. There's a bit of a technique in that sense, but we have to start educating the body from that exercise. I'm going to lower my hips, move to my left, my right hand is in front of me, my right hand always comes in front of my center. Okay, and I'm going to go now to the right. Okay, my left hand is in front of me, my left hand is always in front of my center. One more time, down, right hand in front of me, towards left, in front of my center. Okay, up, down, left hand in front of me, towards the right, in front of myself. Yeah. So now, depending again on your hip condition, remember, we have two basic movements. We have okuriashis, where the front foot or the direction foot is the one that is leading. If I go forward, that means that. If I go backwards, that means that. If I go sideways, means that. All right. So that's always in okuriashi. The front foot, I won't say the front foot, but the direction that you're moving, the foot that is on that direction is leading the movement. So if I go forward, is this foot. If I go backwards, is that foot. Now, in sugiashi, okay, remember, is the lagging foot, the one that is leading the movement. So if I'm going in that direction, it's going to be this foot, is this foot, right? This foot moves, this foot moves, okay? If I'm going backwards, this foot leads, this foot leads, this foot leads. So, we normally don't do Yoko Sugiashi, but it may be that my hip, is a little bit restricted to move sideways. So if I'm already in a Jigotai, okay, and if I want to move to the left, and I have to move this leg in order to do the action, my hip may not like that extra opening requirement and then lagging. My hip may not like this extra opening and then lagging. So in that case, then let's see if we can do a sort of version of Yoko Sugiashi, where the back foot comes together and then shoots. The back foot comes together and then shoots. Back foot comes together and then shoots. Okay? So the other side, back foot comes together, shoots. Back foot comes together, shoots. Back foot comes together, shoot. Comes together, shoot. Okay, so the motion is still a lateral motion, okay, but with a different level of demand on the hips, okay. One motion, or kuriashi motion, demands a lot of the hips because it forces me to open and close, not completely close, still in my legs open, jigotai, but overextend and drag, overextend and drag, overextend and drag, over and drag, over and drag. The second form, the sugiashi form, doesn't demand this overextend. It just basically brings feet together and then allows me to come back into my natural position. Feet brings together and then allows me to come back in another position. It has a little bit of a less demand on your hips, depending again what's your condition of your hips. Your hip may not like this extra demand of moving sideways and then having to drag. Okay, so let's practice Joko Tsugiashi, not Joko Okuriashi, just for this process. Okay, so opening, okay, bringing the feet together and then feet together, out. keep together, out, keep together, out. The other side, keep together, out, keep together, out, keep together, out, keep together, out. Okay? So now, a couple of careful things. I'm not trying to make it too cute, but you know, remember, anything that crosses your hip width is going to make you unstable. Okay? Anything that crosses your hip width is going to make you unstable. So we have to be mindful of that. And there's a moment of instability in anything that crosses your feet, you know, just by the natural structure of your body. Having said that, if you maintain a good center of gravity, that instability can be slightly hidden in motion. So what happens with sometimes with Ikkyo, for example, okay, I'm in this position in Ikkyo, and then I'm going to do Okuriashi, which is my basic movement that I should be able to do. But sometimes, let's say I don't want to necessarily move into Okuriashi, this position, and then I go Sugiashi. And then so it could be possible to move into your outside motion by crossing your feet and then moving. Okay? So let's just practice that exercise. So down here, crossing, moving. Crossing, moving. Crossing, moving. So remember, the same way that Sugiashi could be just heel to heel and move forward, or could be fully crossing and moving forward. Okay, let's play with that idea on our sideways version. Okay, passing, forward, passing, forward, the other way, passing, forward, passing, forward. Okay, so now, once again, just the caveat is that the more you narrow the position of the more you cross your hips, the more unstable you are. Okay, so have to be always mindful of that. So definitely, obviously, this position is a much more stable position than this position. Okay, so but once again, just checking what can be done with the hips. Okay, your hip may not like this extra demand. Your hip may prefer shorten the movement and then extending the movement. And if you're practicing that, sometimes you may be able to even cross the movement and extend the movement. 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 The next time that you have time to practice this at the dojo, okay, just practice. Remember, especially for the Ura version, okay, Yoko Kuriashi, okay, or Sugiashi, or Sugiashi crossing. Okay, so any of those three ways of displacing laterally, please try to be familiar with, because they have slightly three different conditions and they have slightly three different demands at the level of your hips. But the most important thing, apart from moving sideways, which is not a turn, remember, we're not doing a Mawaru Ashi. Okay, we're not turning, we're displacing sideways. The most important thing is that the hand never lags. The hand never lags. The hand never lags. The hand never lags. Okay, that's the most important thing. And your hand never lags in the motion. The hand never lags in the motion. Okay? So a few things for hip mobility. It was a lot of paying attention today on how your hip feels and a little bit more gentle exercises to explore the general condition of the hip, and how to maybe adjust and adapt some of our basic motions, for example, Yoko Kuriashi, to conditions that are not able to do that displacement comfortably. What else can we do instead of that? Okay. Hey. Hey.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much.